Now, what was your first and what was your worst job?
Yeah, first job. First job was probably being a handyman at a school I worked at, probably when I was 12, 13. And
So you'd be a handyman when you were 12, 13 years old?
Yeah, I mean, just do odd jobs, but not like know how to do stuff, but just do stuff.
Just busy work?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of different things. My worst job, I'd say, was I worked one day on a hot dog cart, and I smelled sauerkraut.
One day?
12 hours in a row, which made me not want to eat a hot dog for a year. I'd say the hardest job I had was the first job I did out of college or during college was I responded to a advertisement that turned out to, it looks like it was a sales thing. It turned out to be selling cookware door to door, and that was really hard because I'm not a hugely extroverted person who normally like that. So, but I did that for 2 summers, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot doing it. Knocking on 40 doors and trying to sell a ridiculously expensive set of cookware to women, young women. It was very hard. Yeah, that was hard. By comparison, I gotta say, selling painting jobs, to wealthy people in nice communities and hiring college students was easy.
You've come a long way since you were selling hot dogs on the street for 12 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that what I like to tell people is that markets are, if you believe what markets tell you, then there's a certain amount of information that's true and a certain amount that's completely wrong. And I think not having been a business person, not having been trained, on Wall Street, not having been, have had some other major advantage other than a good education. I think what I've proven in our methodology has proven is that, big changes happen all the time. They're happening as much as they've ever happened before. And that you can count on security prices changing significantly, that you can use your innate intelligence and hard work to organize what seems like a chaotic world and information, and then find ways of sticking to your guns and having positions that over time will conform with reality. And I think that's why we've done well. And at the same time, you have to be thick-skinned and believe that, and not believe people, not believe, what people say, what you're sold, what the markets say, and that's more likely the way you're going to, make money, particularly a lot of money on certain things. Right now, of course, my biggest concern is the government and what to believe and not to believe in the government, and I think that's everybody's recognition now.
I've got to imagine that all this causes a lot of stress and long hours. What do you like to do outside of finance and money managing?
So I'm a huge baseball fan. I follow baseball pretty closely. I've had a rich history team for 20 years, and that's enjoyable. I like other sports too, but I love the strategy inherent in baseball.
Baseball is a numbers game.
Yes, but it's I'm just wired. I like money management because it's 90% strategy and 10% execution. Running a business though is more like 10% strategy and 90% execution. And so I like things where I can really use my mind. But I also like living in Northern California. It's beautiful. There's a lot of things to do. It indulges a lot of interests of mine that have nothing to do with investments.
Now, what is your favorite restaurant that you've ever been to?
God, ever been to?
Ever been to? It's our hardest question.
Ever been to? Well, I can tell you the restaurant that I've been to a number of times that I really like is a small Italian restaurant in Healdsburg, California called Scopa. That never fails to make me happy. I guess okay. I'll say from a career perspective, I'll say, because I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, I'll say Pepe's Pizza, which is the first pizza place on the East Coast, and someplace I go every time I go home, and is regarded as having pretty much the best pizza on the East Coast.
Well, I'm sure they're happy to have the John Burbank endorsement, right?
Yeah. So
maybe they'll get some more business from this interview.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how deep your user base is.
Exactly. This one is our last and trademark question. What was the best and what was the worst investment decision you have ever made?
Yeah, the best investment decision, I guess I'd say the best investment decision was, I'd say it was actually to start my hedge fund, even though it had $800,000, even though there was no chance of me making really any money from that for a number of years. And I say that because when I think about investment, it's not only financially but personally, I grew enormously by making that commitment and investing so much time, energy, and then capital in doing it. So I'd say from a personal standpoint, that was it. I mean, that enabled me to make the investment in, say, the subprime trade, which I described before. In terms of the worst, it has to be, obviously there have been many bad ones, but I'd say it has to be holding on to our core investments in our core longs and commodities and emerging markets heading into 2008 and not being able to get out of them as the government, acted the way they did in 2008. So it's a funny thing where, that's the thing with investing in markets where some of your best investments can become your worst ones just based on how the market changes.
That's really interesting. I really thank you for coming on the Benzinga podcast and giving us all this great information. I hope you had a good time.
Yes, I did. Thank you, and I hope people follow my presentation at the Value Investor Congress, because I think they'll be interested to hear what we find.
Thank you for listening to the Benzinga podcast. Be sure to head on over to the Benzinga homepage to find the subscribe in iTunes button near the top. The music that you're listening to is Beethoven Virus by Banya and is available on the Internet Archive. The Benzinga podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.5 license, and all other rights are reserved.